Like a fat guy putting on shorts, you split your sides at Thursday Thoughts. Welcome for another edition of Thursday Thoughts with Eddie Anchor. I'm your host, Eddie Anchor. Sorry we're a little bit late this week, but being that there was a Thursday game of football, without fail, it's always going to be on a Friday, so lock that one away for next time. Alright, without further ado, let's get straight into the week's matchup, because we have got some crackers coming your way. First up, Bunga versus Ben. Now, when they talk about round 5 being a battle of the heavyweights, the ultimate grudge match, the one we've all been waiting for, they were right. Forget Hawthorn versus Geelong, this is the match they were talking about. These two are the sworn nemesis of one another when it comes to fantasy football. So many occasions when Ben has screwed Bunga over, it's could be coming home to roost this time. Most famously, one round they decided to pick each other's captains, only for Ben to renege on the deal and pick Stevie J as his captain, who happened to score a lazy 150 that week, and that was all she wrote for Bunga. This becomes the line in the sand game for Bunga. So often the whipping boy, he now finally has a team that can possibly exact revenge on Ben. I've seen this battle play out on so many different fields, and it always somehow turns out with the same result. Not one to go against fate, so somehow, some way, with no team, Ben will still manage to win this one by 11 points. Now, we move on to Tom versus the Commish. After stepping down as CEO of Anchor Studios, the Commish promised changes with his team's performance. Last week certainly showed that. Despite the loss, an improved output and the key inclusion of gun midfielder Nate Fyfe this week, he has the league leader in his sights with a very big gun. Even though Tom managed to fall over the line last week, his team looked a shell of its former self and will need to turn things around very quickly if he's to stay on top of the league ladder. Rumours have begun to swirl that player payments have been late every week this year, and at one point in Tom's team, Todd Goldstein was paid his weekly wage in scrap copper and trash bags full of Coke cans. Despite the courageous performance last week, I cannot see Tom getting rolled by the Commish this week. Tom by 123 points. Now, we move on to Hayden versus Steve. As one royal pain in the arse arrives in the northern suburbs, another one is soon to leave. Hayden is soon to become the first international coach in the Thunderdome as he jets off to Japan. Such an event will actually make this show a global production and will have now been watched in over watched in over 2 countries. Since we are likely to see him to catch up when he comes back periodically, and we'll happen to see him when he leaves as well, putting 200,000 metres of water between us, it's actually going to bring us closer. It means we might actually see him more often. There have actually been several inquiries from interested parties about the potential of taking over as coach in his absence. In the interim, this will not be the case, but, however, his feminine mood swings are closely entwined with his team's success, so who the hell knows what he's going to be doing. Speaking of little girly hissy fits, his opponent Steve this week has somehow managed to completely stuff up his team in under 4 weeks. In one of the most pathetic performances in Thunderdome history last week, he has somehow managed to lose to a team that scored under 1,500. Absolutely disgraceful. Hayden will win this one by 500 points. Alright, now we move on to a bit of a grudge match as well. Andy versus Robbo. This match is like an epic matchup between 2 time-travelling warriors. Andy, like the T1000, was sent back in time to draft based on nothing but pure data, numbers, and computational algorithms, taking the human mind completely out of the process. We call him DraftBot. He is actually sitting 3rd on the league ladder at the moment. Now, Robbo, like another time-travelling warrior, Probably less like the Terminator, more like Marty McFly from Back to the Future. Sent back in time wearing crazy coloured clothing, his hat on backwards, and sporting a mullet straight out of the 80s. Running on nothing but street smarts, a flashy smile, and a lot of heart. Unfortunately, that's probably working out about as well for him as it did for Michael J. Fox. His season is certainly on shaky ground. Despite some decent scores, Robbo hasn't been able to get over the line yet very much this year, only once. This week, he will do it. He will do it for the little guy. I reckon, going to be a huge upset here. Robbo by 98 points. Chris versus Tricky. In a previous life, Tricky must have killed a black cat with a broken mirror because things just continue to go from bad to worse for him. With the late out of Robinson last week, plus several other injuries, he has had his season stopped dead in its tracks. The biggest loss of all being Shane Mumford, who has been scoring through the roof. This match couldn't have come at a better time for either of these two teams, though. Tricky is actually hoping he will be able to get an easy win over Chris, who is yet to actually post a win. But, in the same breath, Chris will be hoping all of the injuries to Mick's team will mean that he'll finally be able to secure his first win of the year. No matter how incapacitated Tricky's team is, there is no way I can see him losing to Chris this week. Not long until the bye rounds, Chris. You might be able to get a win there. Tricky by 187 points. Callum versus Matt. This is a battle of the hairy, perfectly spherical heads. If these two stood back to back, they'd look like a set of testicles. They say one always hangs lower than the other. And looking at the ladder, Callum's certainly the lower one. Despite posting his first win of the season in emphatic style with a huge score of over 1,800, he's firmly anchored down in 11th position. Matt might look at Callum as a bit of a cautionary tale of flying too close to the sun with wings made of wax. He too once was atop of the league ladder after 2 rounds, only to finish last year. Since reaching the pinnacle, it has been nothing but a hard luck story for Matty, with 2 big losses in the last 2 weeks and many big injuries. With Goddard and Leuenberger out, I find it hard to make a case for Matt when his ruck division consists of Billy Longer and Jared Witts. The slide is on, and it will continue again this week. Callum by 210 points. Alright, now, talk about exclusive interviews. This is pretty much as exclusive as we are going to get here on Thursday Thoughts. We have, apparently on the line, one of the passengers from the missing jumbo jet. Now, I'm not sure what sort of coverage we're going to expect here, but we got the call through at Anchor Studios, and we are going to go straight to him live on the ground. Alright, hello! Who have we got on the line? Hello, Eddie. Thank you for having me on. I'm actually knighted by the crown. My name is Sir Vivian Orr. My friends call me Viv for short. I'm one of the biggest fans of the show. I've missed the last few episodes. We've been a little held up, as you can imagine, with the plane and all. It is an absolute honour to have you on the line, Viv. Like the rest of the world, I have a few questions. Where the hell are you? And is everybody okay? Yes. Everything's outstanding. Couldn't be better. Myself and a few chums have just finished a game of beach volleyball, and we're about to head out for a spot of snorkeling after lunch. By the sounds of things, everything couldn't be better. You do realise there is several countries out there looking for you. Why haven't you tried to make contact with anybody yet? To let everybody know you're okay? Well, the truth is, Eddie, quite a large portion of the passengers were Carlton supporters, and until things pick up, we plan on staying lost. I'm quite sure a number of the Crows fans have been wondering where Eddie Betts has been all year. He's actually here with us. He was on the plane. I'm not sure if anybody's noticed if he's been missing or not. Speaking of, my volleyball partner may be somebody you know, Tyrone Vickery. He was actually my partner for volleyball. he's been missing all year as well, as he's been with us. This is an extraordinary turn of events. So you've taken the plane to a mystery island and plan to stay there until the Blues turn it around? Am I right in saying that? Oh no, I wouldn't say we planned it. We always thought we were capable of making it all the way to our destination, but we clearly misjudged the situation and now we're stuck in the wilderness a little bit. Pretty much the same as our footy team, really. Speaking of, we actually found Jared Waite's kicking boot. He left it on the plane with us. Anyway, dinner is being served, so please let everybody know we're fine. We are just hiding until Carlton find form again. Are you sure you're going to have enough food to last that long? Well, it's funny you should say that. We finally found a use for Matty Cruiser. Prime cut. A little bit tough. You just have to eat around the scar tissue though. Take care, Eddie. Well, there you have it, folks. Mystery solved. Alright, now, during the middle of last week, we actually got some inside camera work from down inside the rooms in the commissioners team. Now, we've got him addressing the team prior to the match. Now, let's check it out. Alright, lads. Bring it in. Huddle up, huddle up. This week is do or die. We can't afford to not be paying attention. The last few weeks I've been really proud of your efforts, despite not getting the points. Oi! Dusty! Jamie! Any fucking chance you could stop comparing tribal tattoos for one moment and give me some of your time? This is what's letting us down, boys. A brief lapse in concentration and we're on our back like a fat guy in a beanbag trying to get up. Griffo! Griffo! Nice of you to join us. You what? You were busy. He was busy, boys. He was busy. Busy doing what? I know what you weren't busy doing. Getting a fucking kick last week. 25 points! You show me points and I'll shut up. We need to be aggressive at the body this week. We've rolled over in a few key patches the last few weeks. The one patch we've probably struggled most with is scoring points. That's been a struggle for us. I brought in Elliot Yeo and Jeremy Laidler to shore us up down back. If you two lads could get as many cheap kicks as you can, that'd be fucking wonderful. Our captain is back from the softest suspension in history too. Welcome back, Fifey. Welcome back. Now, to make up the last few weeks, we're going to need a solid 300 points from you this week. So, 56 touches, 9 goals, if you can manage it. Has anyone seen Charlie Dixon? Every day I see his car in the car park, but he hasn't pulled on his boots since I stamped his first paycheck. If anyone happens to see him, tell him I'm looking for him. And his special order of masking tape has arrived to, hold his fucking body together. Okay, boys, this is the first week of the rest of our season. We will keep the game plan simple. That's right. Score more points than the other team. If we can do that, we're a good chance of coming away with the victory. Now, get out there, avoid heavy body contact, skirt around the outside of the packs, kick the scab goals, and get as much uncontested footy as possible. We don't want you putting your body on the line and getting hurt at any stage. Get out there, boys! Now, as promised, we got another new segment. It's called Eddie Mail. So, we've actually had our first emails roll into HQ this week, and I thought I'd share them with you. One of them is just Ben. Sent me a couple of pictures of him standing there. Apparently something to do with how well he's starting to look in his recovery from his broken leg. Let's check it out. As you can see, he's lost plenty of weight. He's looking sharp. All right, now, on to the serious email. This is an email that comes addressed to me from one of our loyal viewers, Pat. Now, I'm not too sure who Pat is. Might be somebody taking the piss. Might be a genuine fan. But either way, here's his email. Hey Eddie, just thought I would write in as a viewer of Thursday Thoughts. It's a great laugh and a great insight into fantasy footy. Now, as for last week's episode, why cut the theme song off, so it was only the last part that is uncalled for. It is a great tune, and I find myself humming it on Fridays while at work. But not to play it all is just not good enough. You don't see top rating shows out there as theme songs short. Let's hope this is addressed next week. Thanks, Pat. P.S. Can we get some insight into the standing of the league and what the players look like so I can put a name to the faces? That's a great email, Pat. Thank you very much for writing in. We appreciate all our emails, and as you might have seen earlier in the show, we've taken your advice on board. We've got some photos on there. I don't know about the song. We might put the song on at the end of the show. It's just, there's a few people out there that like it, a few people that find it boring. We'll whack it at the end of the show, I reckon. Give everybody what they want. Alright, now, that's only 2 emails this week. We've got plenty of viewers out there. How about we start getting on our freaking keyboards and send us in some shit? That's what we want. And that's all we've got time for on Eddie Mail. Now, on the back of Pat's request, and a few other people have actually requested the same thing, here's the current league ladder for those of you out there that are interested. As you can see, Tom and Bunga sit atop the league ladder, unbeaten on 4 wins. And in complete contrast, Chris sits right down the bottom with no wins. For the first time in 9 months, Callum is actually off the bottom of the ladder, all the way up in second bottom. He's getting up there though. Good work. This brings us into Free Agent of the Week. Whilst it might seem a little bit late to be getting all aboard this particular train, after a performance like last week, it is very hard not to. A personal favourite of mine. A player I considered to be in the top 5 most important players at Richmond before they decided to let him walk at the end of last year. Matty White has been a very slow burn. Finally finding his niche at the Tigers as a hard-running half-forward who could break the lines and kick goals with ridiculous accuracy. He missed 2 games at the end of last year. The Tigers lost them both, which included the final. He is now at Port and being given the licence in a young team to attack the game in the fashion that he loves. The reason I've chosen this week to go with him as a free agent of the week is A, there is no way he can start as sub after a performance like the one on the weekend. And most importantly, B, the big open spaces at Subiaco will offer so much space for Matty White to work in, he will be cutting the slower West Coast defenders to absolute ribbons this week. The other big plus at the moment is that with Montfrey's out, he is the go-to small forward at Port Power. Look for the big scores in the next few weeks. Alright, we move on to the final segment of the week. It's time for Eddie Anker's Weekly Wanker. Now, it was a little bit quiet on the front of Wankers this week, but we did manage to pluck an obscure one out. Now, for this week's Wanker to get the award, it wasn't so much for what he did, but more for his refusal to accept any responsibility for his actions afterwards. So this particular gentleman was a little short on players last week. So 15 minutes before the Carlton game, well after the late ins and outs had been announced to the entire world, he decides to pick up a player who was already dropped. Stupid, yes, but not wankerish. This makes for a timely error that possibly cost him victory on the weekend. From there, still not a wanker. He decides that instead of copping to his own shortcomings like a man, he'll blame everyone and everything else for his own stupidity. First it was the Supercoach app. Then it was the commissioner's fault. Then it was work's fault for making him work when he was rostered to work. The list just got longer and longer and longer. There was excuse after excuse. Mate, no one likes a sore loser. When you bugger up, put your hand in the air and take your medicine. Don't look to palm it off to somebody else for this poor show. Tricky Mickey, you are Eddie Anker's Weekly Wanker for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in again. From now on, take it as a given that when there is a game on a Thursday night, the episode will drop on a Friday night. Take care. happy Easter, keep supporting the show, and good luck on the weekend. Like a fat guy putting on shorts, you split your sides at Thursday Thoughts.